Hello and welcome to our fifth video with Dr. Akmal Makhdum regarding the coronavirus pandemic across the globe. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
So today we're going to be discussing techniques and how to cope in this isolation. We've had some questions in and some concerns. Some people are having panic attacks, anxiety. What techniques and what advice would you give them?
Okay. There are three ways to deal with this. First is, of course, getting to read about it. So, what is panic? What is anxiety? What are the reasons? What are the causes? So, of course, we know that the cause is fear of coronavirus. And once you start reading about the symptoms, once you start reading about the reality of the symptoms, that they are generated by fear. So you need to then try to act in such a way that your fear is reduced. Reducing fear can be done through two methodologies. One is trying to do rational thinking about it, that looking at the facts and figures and then trying to deal with it in a manner which is more informed. You are aware, you have the knowledge of preventing, because all this knowledge is available, and then you act on it, like be safe, social distancing, as little as possible, exposure to the community, and so on. So that is one. The other is trying to deal with the symptoms. So one was the causology, the reasons behind it, and by getting the information on it. And the second is by just trying to reduce symptoms. The way it works is that if you get symptoms, and the more symptoms you get, the more vulnerable your mind becomes. So if you have anxiety which is high, next time it will be higher, and you will fear it more, and it will become worse and worse. So then that becomes a panic, a state of frenzy, a state of total uncontrollability. In terms of symptomatology, what you do is that you look at your symptoms, and then various strategies can be acquired. The simplest strategy that I would suggest is breathing. So if you have a feeling of fear, panic, as if the world may come to an end, or you're really scared, the best bet is to do a 3-4-5 breathing pattern. So while you count up to 3 in your mind, breathe in like 1, 2, 3. So I will act it out for you, like 1. So you have breathed in, and when you breathe in, you're counting in your mind up to 3. Then you hold it, and that is the most important thing, is you hold it for 4. So the same rhythm, same gaps. So you breathe in, so you breathe in and then hold it up to 4, and then you release it up to 5. Same rhythm, same gap. So that's the 3-4-5 breathing rhythm. Now, it depends on how anxious you are. By one kind of cycle of the 3-4-5, I think that I feel 1% relaxed or 5% relaxed. If you do it 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, you will see that your rapid heart rate, your rapid breathing, your hyperventilation, your fear, they're all gone down. Why? Because symptoms reinforce fear. Fear reinforces symptoms. Symptoms reinforce fear. It is just like that. So you need to break that cycle. So in that symptom fear, what you're doing is you're attacking the symptom. That is an easier way of doing it. Of course, the longer and the more rational approach is knowing about it. And once you know about it, and then you see the reality, you know the facts about it, and you know that you have done everything humanly possible to avoid it in terms of the rational approach of prevention. And still, if you have symptoms, then you deal with that symptom. So the first technique is that. Okay. Are there any questions?
So by symptoms, you're talking about the symptoms of being in isolation, not of the coronavirus, just to clarify.
No, yeah, exactly. Just to clarify that we were talking of anxiety, symptom, and panic, fear, the rapid heart rate, the clammy hands, the hyperventilation, fear that you're going to get it, hypochondriacal fear, an unreasonable fear that you've got it, because that is what is happening, that people get a little dry throat, they get a little cough, they get a little postnasal drip, and they give out a sneeze, and then that's what they get scared of. And that is where sense is required, that instead of allowing that fright and fear to get into you, what you need to do is immediately reflect on what you've read about it, that it is not invariably dangerous or invariably, God forbid, lethal or fatal, that an overwhelming majority do not get it, an overwhelming majority do not have many symptoms, even if they get it. An overwhelming majority have symptoms and do not go into that stage of pneumonia. It is a very small minority that gets into pneumonia, and then, of course, the complications. And once you're there, of course, it is, it's no good doing these exercises because you can't.
Right. What are any other techniques apart from breathing that you would recommend to people?
I would recommend that as the simplest form of breathing. Then the other very simple form of management is that you wear a rubber band on your wrist. Okay? And make it a broader rubber band, the yellow bands that you get. And don't let it be too tight, make it a bit loose. And if you feel that you are getting into a rut of fear, circular fear pattern, then what you do is just pull that rubber band and let it strike your wrist.
If you just lift up your hand.
So I lift up my hand, I'm wearing, say, a fantasy rubber band, and I pull it and I let it go, and it strikes my wrist. And that is one way of stopping it. So what you're doing is that you do that once, you do that twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times, and 5 times. And that should actually bring your focus, that the purpose of this is to say that this is fear. This is unreasonable fear. I have to now focus on something different, and I'm looking at this strike of my rubber band to bring my focus onto a rational approach of what the facts are, and that I'm not affected. And this fear is an unreasonable fear.
Right.
And then, we can talk about other techniques, but if you have
No, absolutely. Please go on.
Now, the other is use of imagery. The use of imagery is that, but before use of imagery, let's do another simple technique. That simple technique is borrowed from something called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And that is, of course, a far more detailed, far more involved mechanism of management, very effective in trauma and other things. But one thing that you can immediately relieve your anxiety with is one little technique that you take out from EMDR, which is just solely the eye movement, the EM of it. And in the EM, but before that, you need to actually think of a safe place. You need to think, what is the safest place that you can ever be in, or you have ever been in? So you can imagine that you are in your childhood house with grandma, granddad, mother, father, whoever. Or you can be in a lovely sauna or a jacuzzi or a swimming pool or on a beach, whatever is the safest place that you have. And now that is a safe place that you should be able to come in and come out by the click of your fingers. Now that safe place, you need to just keep it somewhere parked in your mind. Okay, so before this eye movement scenario, you need to have a safe place created in your mind. Think about it for a minute or so. What is my safest place? Okay, then what you do is sit in a chair, any chair, and put your neck back where the neck is not is supported and you are unable to move it when you decide that you're not going to move it. So this is how it works, is just putting your head back in a relaxed fashion and look at the two extreme corners of the room. So that could be that right corner and the left corner. Now, when you are feeling anxious, you think about your anxiety and scan your body and see, where am I feeling anxious? I'm feeling anxious pressure on my head. I'm having a palpitation. My breathing is really fast. I feel things, anxiety in the pit of my stomach. My hands are trembling and clammy. My feet or my legs are shaking. So if you scan your body and visualize your body, visualize your anxiety, give it a picture, see yourself in that anxious position. Okay? So you can do that. You can easily be able to see that. You can see yourself and you can look at yourself in your vision and create a little picture of that. And look at that picture, focus on that picture, you having that anxiety and panic and fear. And then while you do that, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and then open your eyes once, okay? Take a deep breath, close your eyes, open your eyes, and keep on breathing nicely. You're thinking, then you're focusing on that image of yourself in an imaginary screen in front of you where you're anxious. Your head is heavy, your throat is dry, your hands are clammy, you have palpitation, you have rapid breathing, hyperventilating, etc. Anxiety in the pit of your stomach or whatever. And then what you do is look at the extreme corner on the right, extreme corner on the left, and start doing these movements. Now, one movement to right and left, that is one. That is a one movement. So this right to left and back is one movement. And then you do that again. And you need to do that about 25 times in one go. So let me try that for you. I won't do it for 25 times, but I will do it a number of times.
So start from the breathing and just shift the whole
So what
process.
you do is that you, for a while, think about, so I am imagining myself in a state of anxiety. And I feel that anxiety while I'm having that anxiety. And I'm just projecting it onto an imaginary screen in front of me. And I'm looking at it. And I'm seeing myself. And I'm feeling whatever is going on. And I'm feeling all that through a scan of my own body. And then I look at it. Then I close my eyes. I take a deep breath. And then I start doing this movement.
While breathing.
While breathing.
Yeah.
But the neck has to be absolutely static, and the movement of the eyes has to be extreme, from extreme right to the extreme left.
So as far as your eyes can go.
As far as your eyes can go. But try to create those imaginary corners or the actual corners of the room or whatever is available.
Use points,
there.
Right?
You can point. But so you look at that and look at that and look at that and look at that and look at that. And now in that way, and as I said, that sometimes it is known that while doing this eye movement, some memory loops are generated that can be a little uncomfortable. That is why you need to click your finger and you go into your safe place. So that is that, but 99.999% do not have that.
Right. So
Okay,
this,
so there is another step.
Yes.
So once you've done that 25 times, so you've done like 50 movements, which are 25 pairs, you've done that, you then stop. Your eyes need a bit of rest. You take a deep breath, and you then look at that picture that you had created in the imaginary screen in front of you. And you will see that with each set of movements, your anxiety is coming down and down and down. The pressure on your head is reducing gradually. So if you scan your body after each set of eye movements of 25, then what you see is that your palpitations are less or less severe, your rapid breathing has reduced, your heart rate has reduced, and your whole body seems to be less anxious, less upset, or less concerned, and not panicky. So it won't happen maybe with the first one. It all depends on how generally relaxed you are as a person. But if you are a relaxed person and you're still having it, then you may only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets. But I do not recommend one set. I definitely recommend at least a minimum of 3 sets if you do it yourself, of those 25 eye movements. But after each set, you close your eyes, take a deep breath, review the screen, and see that it was, and you will realize that after a little while you're not able to see yourself that clearly in that screen. When you're really anxious, when you're really upset, and you will see that you are very vivid in it, and that you are really stressed in that screen, and you scan yourself and you feel the anxiety. Whereas as time progresses and you keep on doing this, you will realize that the screen will become blurred. If you had given it color, sometimes people do, in sessions people are advised to give color to that screen and that picture, but gradually the colors fade.
Wonderful. So these techniques that we've just discussed, these are safe for people to carry out at home?
Absolutely. Breathing, just don't keep on carrying it on all the time, because you need to get into your normal rhythm. So as I said, that the breathing 3, 4, 5, very safe, very relaxing, rather good, because it fills your stomach to full capacity each time, and then the exhalation actually creates full compression of the lungs. So that is very good. So you keep on doing it. You can do it 5 times. Give yourself a 5-10 minute break. Do it for another 5 times, and so on. So you can just focus on that breathing, and then you can also do the other bits.
Okay, so, and the other techniques, you said, how regularly should one do those? Whenever, as per the anxiety
as
or
per
panic?
requirement.
Right, wonderful.
As per requirement.
Great, and we're going to wrap this one up on the techniques there so people can try these at home, and if they do require more, then we can always make another video.
Yeah, if they send questions and specifics, we can deal with that.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you.